Less than 3 hours after leaving the Mexico City airport, we arrive in Havana. After we board the bus, we're taken to our hotel. We are staying at the Hotel Riviera, built in the 50s by Meyer Lansky, a major organized crime figure, known as the mob's accountant. We are served a welcome drink while waiting to be assigned rooms.
Go.
This is our room, actually a suite. And every day our towels are decoratively arranged. The hotel is located on the Malecon. The pool has a 3-level diving platform. This is the Vedado neighborhood of Havana, and there's a shopping center across the street from the hotel. It looks like there's a party at the hotel tonight, with the guests arriving in cars from the 50s. I would guess it's a quinceañera, celebrating a girl's 15th birthday. Today we're going to Old Havana. The fort across the bay was built in the late 1500s. Also across the bay is a huge fort that was built in the late 1700s. Overlooking the bay is a 66-foot-tall marble sculpture of Christ and a statue of Neptune on the walkway. We're walking to one of the plazas of Old Havana. The weather vane on top of the watchtower is based on the Giralda in Seville, Spain. We walk past what remains of the old city walls. This is the Cathedral of St. Christopher, one of the oldest in the Americas. Just past the cathedral and along its left side, we're visiting an art museum. The art pieces are unusual and are made from recycled materials. Impressive from a distance, it seems to be made of pieces of plastic bags weaved together. This is the National Fine Arts Museum, and we are looking at the impressive stained glass ceiling. This is the museum's restaurant, and during lunch I step out on the balcony to have a look around. This is the Central Park in downtown Havana. In the park is a statue of José Martí, a national hero. He was a Cuban patriot, freedom fighter, and poet. The park is a gathering place, and before I knew it, Mark had some new friends. We just finished a tour of this museum, and we are waiting for the rest of the group. Directly across the street is the Museum of Revolution, which we'll visit another day. We are going to the home of Octavio Rodriguez, a high priest in the Yoruba religion. Along the way, we pass through typical Havana neighborhoods. We gather on the patio. The view from here doesn't look like much, but the interior of the house is lovely. and this is Octavio, who gives us our first insights to the religion. At the Palacio de Rumba, we hear traditional Afro-Cuban music, but before we begin, there's a fashion show. The entertainers have arrived. For some reason, Mark's on the dancing floor, soon joined by everyone else. It's either my reluctance to join in dancing or my camera that brought these gentlemen over. Mark is dancing again. And eventually a conga line forms. This is the Paseo del Prado in central Havana. The Grand Theater, home to the National Ballet and Opera. The marble sculptures represent charity, education, music, and theater. This is the Capitol building, and before the revolution, it was home to the Cuban legislature. The 55 steps to the entrance are flanked by 21-foot tall statues. Virtue and work. The 300-foot high dome was constructed in the United States. With only a little time to spend here, we walked to the end of the street, past these colorful buildings, until we reached a park. And a fountain. It's time to rejoin the group as we head back, past this 5-star hotel, and on to the next tour. This is the Museum of the Revolution. In front is a tank destroyer used in the Bay of Pigs. Inside is this exhibit with life-sized caricatures of Batista, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Bush Jr., thanking each for their role in the revolution. Getting to the second floor, there's no easy way up for Robin. Fathers of the Revolution, Che, Castro, and Cienfuegos. Batista's former office, bathroom, and his view from the balcony. The ceiling in the dining room. Wax figures of Che and Cienfuegos depicted in battle. Next, it's outside to the larger exhibits. an eternal flame dedicated to the heroes of the Revolution. The yacht named Grandma, designed for 25 people, it brought Castro and 81 rebels from Mexico. A surface-to-air missile like the one used to shoot down a U.S. spy plane, and the engine of a U-2 plane. Also on display are other various vehicles used in the Revolution. In Old Havana, this is the Plaza de San Francisco, the second oldest plaza in the city. A statue of Junipero Serra and an Indian boy are at the side of the church. With its 125-foot bell tower, the church was built in the 1700s. We had lunch at a restaurant in this building to the right. The building was once the site of the Stock Exchange of Havana. Today it is an office building. In front is this sculpture called the Conversation. On top is a bronze statue of Mercury, the Greek god of trade. Across the plaza is the cruise terminal. The white marble Fountain of Lions, and dozens of other old buildings surrounding the plaza. This statue of a contemporary eccentric is a good luck charm for tourists. A side street connecting plazas has the remnants of an old water supply tunnel. I made a new friend. Plaza Vieja is the next plaza. It is surrounded by restored colonial buildings from the 18th and 19th centuries. And I still have my friend. A 20th century building. A restored fountain. This bronze sculpture, called The Fantastic Voyage, is the work of a contemporary artist. With its limestone columns and stately balconies, restoration has made this plaza a key tourist attraction. A statue of Simon Bolivar in a small park as we walk on Havana's oldest streets. This is Plaza de Armas, Havana's oldest plaza. On the right is a museum. In front of the museum is a collection of church bells. What looks like cobblestone is actually made of wood. This plaza is also noted for its greenery, not found in the others. Carlos Céspedes, known as the father of the homeland. It is on this site that the first Mass and town council meeting took place in 1599. The Castle of the Royal Force, a fortress built in the mid-16th century, was never used in the defense of Havana because it was built too far inside the bay. The mural on this wall, depicting colonial times, is across from the building it is modeled after. A 19th century mailbox. This is the Plaza de Cathedral. We've been here before. Notice the towers on the cathedral. One is wider than the other. It is said to be the only example of a Baroque facade that was designed with asymmetrical features. Tonight, it's the Tropicana for an elaborate show under the sky. The $100 price includes a rose for women, a cigar for men, and a bottle of rum for the table.
Hijo del negro, padre del sol, la guaracha, del que está y del que se ve. Tropicana, reinas por el mundo, gigante historia, sublime templo en las alturas. Happy birthday to you.
In the suburbs, many people live in these Russian-built apartments. We are here to go on an agricultural tour, but because of paperwork problems, we just get to drive by as we learn about the organic urban farm. Cohemar is a small fishing village east of Havana. It was an inspiration for Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea. La Terraza, where we have lunch, is where Hemingway spent many an afternoon drinking with the fishermen. We are going to the town of Guanabacoa, which became the center of Santeria, a fusion of African and Catholic religious beliefs. We walk to a small museum where we learn more about this combination of beliefs. Now it's back to the bus and Havana, because tonight we are attending a private jazz concert.
And the way of communicating with the gods is actually singing and dancing and playing these drums.
This is Revolution Square, where Fidel Castro has addressed more than 1 million Cubans on many important occasions. The Jose Marti Memorial, with a 59-foot tall statue and a 358-foot tall tower. An iron sculpture of Cienfuegos, with the words, "You are doing well, Fidel," in Spanish. Che's image with his slogan, "Until the everlasting victory, always." These classic cars are lined up, ready to drive tourists around the city. We spend the rest of the day wandering around the city. We pass street performers on our way to the Chocolate Museum, which is not really a museum, but a cafe with chocolate treats. We're walking back to our hotel, about a 4-mile walk down the Malecon. Watch out for the wet spots. Today we spend much of the day driving around, past the huge cemetery, to what was once a very affluent area of Havana. In a park with John Lennon's statue, this man's job is to put his glasses on when visitors arrive, since they have been stolen in the past. At the New Year's Eve party, John has a costume malfunction, but he fixes it. leaving Havana for Matanzas. Our first rest stop at El Mirador has the best pina coladas, served in glasses or pineapple shells, and a bottle of rum on the bar to top it off. So we relax and enjoy the view. Lots of turkey vultures, the highest bridge in Cuba, and a view of the Yumuri Valley. We just arrived in Matanzas, and here we will see a performance of African music and dance traditions brought to Cuba during the slave trade. After a quick lunch, we have a little time to stretch our legs. We arrive at our hotel for the evening in Veradero, a lovely beach resort where we enjoy the evening. It's a 3-hour drive to Santa Clara, and there's always some place to do a little shopping. Walking to lunch, we stop to look at this mural on the front of the LGBT Cultural Center. At the restaurant, there's entertainment during lunch. Walking back, we pass the Cathedral of Santa Clara, noted for its stained glass and its larger-than-life statue of Mary. Across the street, I guess that's a restaurant. Some interesting methods of transportation. Waiting for a bus, maybe? In Santa Clara, site of a pivotal battle of the Revolution, is the mausoleum and memorial monument to Che. In the plaza that the 22-foot-tall bronze statue looks over are billboards with quotes of Fidel Castro. We are at a children's art school and cultural center. Soon we will see a performance by the school's children.
Show our Cuban melting pot. The rich process of our cultural inheritance mixture, of which gives testimony our Cuban culture. Thanks for the visit. Enjoy the play.
We are invited to join in and then chat with the children. Fidel Park in the city center is surrounded by a number of landmarks. Once a Hilton hotel, bullet holes from the Battle of Santa Clara remain. In the park is a statue of Marta Abreu, who made many contributions to the city. The statue, called the Unfortunate Boot, has become a city symbol. It's time to leave Santa Clara, and along the way, we pass the local Communist Party headquarters with a statue of Che holding a child in one arm and a cigar in the other. We are going to Remedios, a town known for its parranda, a Christmas festival. These large floats are made during the year for the festival by two competing neighborhoods, El Carmen and El Salvador. We see where the float for the El Carmen group is constructed. The San Juan Bautista Church in Remedios is known for its 13 gold altars that were once hidden under white paint to protect them against pirates. A Christmas tree decorated with handmade ornaments. While here, we also learn that this is one of the few churches in the world with a statue of a pregnant Virgin Mary. After we leave the church, we're going to an all-inclusive resort. The resort is so big that there are carts to take you to your room, and without a map, you would get lost. So let's have a look around. There's a long beach. If you prefer, there are several swimming pools. Tennis courts, a gym, and if you walk far enough, there's even shopping. There are many activities to choose from. On our last night, there's a special dinner with entertainment. Returning over the 30-mile causeway, we pass the housing of the people that work at the resort. We're driving to Playa Girón, which we know as the Bay of Pigs. Here we'll visit the small museum that has displays of the failed U.S. invasion in Cuba. Next, it's an afternoon of snorkeling. Mark didn't see any of the colorful fish that the others managed to find. This This is a rest stop on the highway to Cienfuegos. We'll spend the next 3 nights at this hotel. Not far from our room is a room where Fidel Castro once stayed. Our towels are sculpted and come with a personal note. The hotel is a few miles from the center of town, and there are great views from the balcony. This is the town of Cienfuegos, referred to as the Pearl of the South. It is the only city in Cuba founded by French settlers. We are going to visit a cooperative that teaches the fundamentals of traditional engraving techniques and has children's classes along with sessions for Down syndrome patients. After artwork has been purchased, we have some free time. We start at the city center in Jose Marti Park. Of course, there's a statue of Marti. Across from the park, this was once a palace with a rooftop cupola and spiral staircase. Just past the cathedral are a few side streets lined with artisans selling crafts. Lunch today is a special treat. In an open courtyard, we have roast suckling pig. Definitely my favorite meal of the entire trip. This is danzón. It is considered Cuba's national dance. It consists of an introduction used to choose a partner, flirt, or stroll the dance floor. Then a dance section. Then the introduction is repeated. The dancers stop, chat, flirt, greet their friends, and start again. After our turn, one last dance to contemporary music.
Voy a reír, voy a bailar, vivir mi vida, la 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 la. Voy a reír, voy a gozar, vivir mi vida, la 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 la.
After dinner, we're going to the small town of Palmyra to attend a Santeria performance. When African slaves were brought to Cuba, they weren't allowed to practice their African religions. Forced to convert to Catholicism, they kept their old religions alive by syncretizing their deities with Christian saints. This is a religious ritual honoring those deities. This morning we are visiting a temple where you are required to touch the rock 3 times before entering. After an introduction, the ceremony begins. We are going to the cemetery to honor Benny Moré, who is often thought of as the greatest Cuban popular singer of all time. We have been practicing some of his songs, and we will sing them with Benny's cousin at the gravesite.
Santa Isabel de la Lara, querida, Santa Isabel, me toca el chévere. Lara, mi rincón querido, el fuego de la ciudad, que más me gusta a mí. Me gustó ver cómo baja del monte la rabanilla.
Leaving the cemetery, this car attracts attention. This is Benny's house, now a museum.
Santa Isabel, Santa Isabel de la Lara, querida, Santa Isabel. Lara, mi rincón querido, pueblo donde yo nací. Lara, mi rincón querido, pueblo donde yo nací. Mi viejo San Juan, cuántos sueños con él en mis noches de infancia. Mi primera ilusión, mis cuitas de amor, con recuerdo de mi alma. Y se hizo más amor. ¡Hey, hey, hey! Guantanamera, Guarida, Guantanamera.
Welcome guests. You're going to hear Los Naranjos, song group from Cienfuegos. This is a group that was formed on the 3rd of April, 1926.
Songo,
We are back in Havana for our last day here and in Cuba. We spent the day wandering around the city. We came across this pharmacy museum, an old drugstore from the 1800s. And this is our last look around the city. Tonight, after we attend the children's performance, it's time to go home.
Si no le cantara me la perdería, pues solo en canciones es mía. Y tú, besito, besito.
Todos juntos ahora. Enter the formats.